The woman who could hear tomorrow. Alex leans in close to me and says, Lion, tonight you might want to step outside because the tavern, it has decided to visit Kyoto, Japan, the city where the past and the future sit together like old friends. So I step out beneath the paper lanterns and modern lights, and there I meet him, a tired man staring up at the sky as if it owed him answers. And traveler, if you stay with me a while, I'll tell you the story of a woman who could hear tomorrow, yet nearly lost today because of it. What would you do, I wonder, if the future whispered to you, but every whisper cost you a piece of the present? Sit close, my friend. Tonight's tale begins at the moment the whispers become too loud to bear. The man I met in Kyoto told me he had loved a woman named Sora. Sora was born with an ability that she never asked for. She could hear pieces of the future, not full sentences, not full versions, just fragments, like wind chimes in another room, a dance of possibilities. She could hear the rumble of a train before it arrived, a stranger calling her name tomorrow morning, her own laughter a day ahead. At first it was beautiful. She saved people, helped friends avoid mistakes, predicted small tragedies before they struck. But gifts have teeth, and the whispers grew louder. Sora began to hear every tomorrow. She heard heartbreaks that hadn't happened yet, disasters that hadn't unfolded, and apologies she would never receive. She started living ahead of everyone else, living everywhere except here. Her boyfriend, the man now sitting beside me, said, Lion, it felt like dating someone who was already living in the next day. He begged her to slow down, to be present, to breathe. But Sora was trapped, because tomorrow kept calling her name, and she always answered. My friend, if this story speaks to you, take a moment to like the video or subscribe. It helps the tavern doors stay open for every soul wandering in from a long road. Now let's continue. One night, Sora heard something different. Not whispers, not gentle warnings, but a scream from a day that hadn't yet arrived. A scream of loss, a scream that belonged to the man that she loved. She tried to tell him. He begged her to stop. Please, Sora. Sometimes not knowing is the only peace that we have left. But she couldn't ignore it. She spent days trying to prevent a future she didn't fully understand. Following fragments, symbols, half-heard cries. She checked on him constantly, refused to sleep, forgot to eat. Every tomorrow pulled her tighter like a rope around her ribs. And then she heard silence. Total, suffocating silence. The future had stopped speaking to her. And for the first time in her life, she didn't know what would happen next. She panicked, cried, collapsed. Her gift was gone, or maybe it had taken too much. The man took Sora to Kyoto, far from home. He hoped the city's temples would bring her peace. The sound of bamboo, water, prayer, and that was where I met him. He told me he feared he had lost her long before she lost her power, that she had become a ghost wandering between days. I placed a single drink before him at the bar, a warm amber brew that glowed like sunrise. "Take this," I said, "and when she returns, give it to her and tell her this: tomorrow isn't supposed to speak louder than today." Hours later, Sora appeared, her eyes swollen, her voice fragile. She sat with him. He held her hands, and for the first time in years, she listened instead of predicting. She breathed instead of bracing. She stayed instead of running toward the next sunrise. And then the whispers returned. Not loud, not overwhelming. Just one single whisper from the future. Stay. Not a warning, not a prophecy. Just an invitation. And she chose to follow it. So, my friend, if you ever feel trapped by what might happen, if tomorrow feels louder than today, remember Sora's lesson. The future is not a ruler. It is not a jailer. It is not a voice you must obey. It is only a whisper. But the present is a hand you can hold. If you found meaning in this tale, leave a comment below telling me where you're listening from. And if your road is long, you may always return to the tavern. Your old friend Lion will be here.